Welcome once again, my friends, and thank you for stopping by to listen to an old storyteller. Today we have an Australian tale, and the title of this story is Dinewan the Emu and Goomblegubbon the Bustard. Dinewan the Emu, being the largest bird, was acknowledged as king by the other birds. The Goomblegubbons, the bustards, were jealous of the Dinewans. Particularly was Goomblegubbon, the mother, jealous of the Dinewan mother. She would watch with envy the high flight of the Dinewans and their swift running, and she always fancied that the Dinewan mother flaunted her superiority in her face, for whenever Dinewan alighted near Goomblegubbon after a long, high flight, she would flap her big wings and begin booing in her pride. Not the loud booing of the male bird, but a little triumphant, satisfied booing noise of her own, which never failed to irritate Goomblegubbon when she heard it. Goomblegubbon used to wonder how she could put an end to Dinewan's supremacy. She decided that she would only be able to do so by injuring her wings and checking her power of flight. But the question that troubled her was how to effect this end. She knew she would gain nothing by having a quarrel with Dinewan and fighting her, for no Goomblegubbon would stand a chance against a Dinewan. There was evidently nothing to be gained by an open fight. She would have to effect her end by cunning. One day, when Goomblegubbon saw in the distance Dinewan coming toward her, she squatted down and doubled in her wings, in such a way as to look as if she had none. After Dinewan had been talking to her for some time, Goomblegubbon said, "Why do you not imitate me and do without wings? Every bird flies. The Dinewans, to be the king of birds, should do without wings. When all the birds can see that I can do without wings, they will think I am the cleverest bird, and they will make a Goomblegubbon king." "But you have wings," said Dinewan. "No, I have no wings." And indeed she looked as if her words were true, so well were her wings hidden as she squatted in the grass. Dinewan went away after a while, and thought much of what she had heard. She talked it all over with her mate, who was as disturbed as she was. They made up their minds that it would never do to let the Goomblegubbons reign in their stead, even if they had to lose their wings to save their kingship. At length they decided on the sacrifice of their wings. The Dinewan mother showed the example by persuading her mate to cut off hers with a combo or stone tomahawk, and then she did the same to his. As soon as the operations were over, the Dinewan mother lost no time in letting Goomblegubbon know what they had done. She ran swiftly down to the plain on which she had left Goomblegubbon, and, finding her still squatting there, she said, "See, I have followed your example. I have now no wings. They are cut off." "Ha, ha, ha!" laughed Goomblegubbon, jumping up and dancing round with joy at the success of her plot. As she danced around, she spread out her wings, flapped them, and said, "I have taken you in, old stumpy wings. I have my wings yet. You are fine birds, you Dinewans, to be chosen kings when you're so easily taken in." And, laughing derisively, Goomblegubbon flapped her wings right in front of Dinewan, who rushed towards her to chastise her treachery. But Goomblegubbon flew away, and, alas! the now wingless Dinewan could not follow her. Brooding over her wrongs, Dinewan walked away, vowing she would be revenged. But how? That was the question which she and her mate failed to answer for some time. At length the Dinewan mother thought of a plan and prepared at once to execute it. She had all her young Dinewans but two under a big salt bush. Then she walked off to Goomblegubbon's plain with the two young ones following her. As she walked off the Morilla Ridge, where her home was, onto the plain, she saw Goomblegubbon out feeding her 12 young ones. After exchanging a few remarks in a friendly manner with Goomblegubbon, she said to her, "Why do you not imitate me and only have 2 children? 12 are too many to feed. If you keep so many, they will never grow big birds like the Dinewans. The food that will make big birds of 2 will only starve 12. Goomblegubbon said nothing, but she thought it might be so. It was impossible to deny that the young Dinewans were much bigger than the young Goomblegubbon, and, discontentedly, Goomblegubbon walked away, wondering whether the smallness of her young ones was owing to the number of them being so much greater than that of the Dinewan. It would be grand, she thought, to grow as big as the Dinewans. But she remembered the trick she had played on Dinewan, and she thought that perhaps she was being fooled in her turn. She looked back to where the Dinewans fed, as she saw how much bigger the 2 young ones were than any of hers. Once more mad envy of Dinewan possessed her. She determined she would not be outdone. Rather, she would kill all her young ones but 2. She said, "The Dinewans shall not be the king birds of the plains. The Goomblegubbons shall replace them. They shall grow as big as the Dinewans, and shall keep their wings and fly, which now the Dinewans cannot do." And straightway Goomblegubbon killed all of her young ones but 2. Then back she came to where the Dinewans were still feeding. When Dinewan saw her coming and noticed she had only 2 young ones with her, she called out, "Where are all your young ones?" Goomblegubbon answered, "I have killed them and have only 2 left. Those will have plenty to eat now, and will soon grow as big as your young ones. You cruel mother, to kill your children! You greedy mother! Why, I have 12 children, and I find food for them all. I would not kill one for anything, not even if by so doing I could get back my wings. There is plenty for all. Look at the emu bush, how it covers itself with berries to feed my big family. See how the grasshoppers come hopping round, so that we can catch them and fatten on them. But you only have 2 children. I have 12. I will go and bring them to show you." Dinewan ran off to her salt bush where she had hidden her 10 young ones. Soon she was to be seen coming back, running with her neck stretched forward, her head thrown back with pride, and the feathers of her bubutela swinging as she ran, booming out the while her queer throat noise, the Dinewan song of joy, the pretty, soft-looking little ones with their zebra-striped skins running beside her, whistling their baby Dinewan note. When Dinewan reached the place where Goomblegubbon was, she stopped her booing and said in a solemn tone, "Now you see my words are true. I have 12 young ones, as I said. You can gaze at my loved ones and think of your poor murdered children. And while you do so, I will tell you the fate of your descendants forever. By trickery and deceit you lost the Dinewan their wings. And now, forevermore, as long as the Dinewan has no wings, so long shall a Goomblegubbon lay only 2 eggs and have only 2 young ones. We are quits now. You have your wings, and I have my children." And ever since that time a Dinewan, or emu, has had no wings, and a Goomblegubbon, or bustard of the plains, has laid only 2 eggs in a season.
Thank you once again for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please press that like button. Also, please help an old storyteller out by subscribing to my channel. The next story will be posted in a few days, so until then, may your story continue to be a good one.